Okay, we're going to talk about finding ancestors in LDS ward and branch records, and this was based on a presentation I saw at RootsTech. So to begin with, these records are really valuable in terms of family history information. They include name, birth date, and place, baptism date and place, a place of residence, marriage, confirmation dates and by whom, death dates and places. In addition, they may include missionary information, who the parents were, other family relationships might be included, and they also will show when a person's records were received into and out of a ward, so you can determine maybe when they moved to a new location based on that. In addition, LDS priesthood ordinations and national origins are included. So a lot of information here if you can find old church records, ward records specifically. So the background here is these records begin upon the organization of the unit. Typically, it kind of depends on how diligent the people were in the ward or the stake or the branch who created the records. They do vary greatly in the type and the content and the information. It really just, again, depends on how much detail was captured. Some clerks and auxiliary leaders were much more conscientious record keepers than others, as you might expect. And these records are now cataloged by unit name, and they're housed in a collection searchable by the ward and branch name. So all these are here, and you can find an immense amount of information. We'll walk you through that here in a bit. Also, it should be noted that they will include records created by a ward, such as general minutes, priesthood minutes, auxiliary minutes, sacrament meeting minutes, ward lists, ward histories, and activities. And then in the 20th century, these reports may also include the ward conference reports and lists of officers sustained in the wards. So how do we find these records? First thing we need to do is go to catalog.churchofjesuschrist.org. So let me pull browser over here and let's go there. So we'll just type in catalog.churchofjesuschrist.org. And here we are. So the church history catalog page comes up. Next, we will search for a ward or branch name or a city. So let's start by searching for Amsterdam. So let's just type that in. We did this live in the class in June, and it worked out in very interesting ways. So if you pull this up, you'll see that let me center this over here just a bit. You'll see that there are various records here. There's an Amsterdam Ward manuscript history and historical reports from 1955 to 1984. There are the Amsterdam Branch Young Men's Mutual Improvement Association minutes from 1931 to 38, missionary registers, and then we pulled this one up actually in the class. This one's available, and it was the Amsterdam East Ward Relief Society minutes and records, and Tina was able to identify some names that she recognized there from that. So a lot of great information here in these records. One thing to note is on these digital records, you will have to request access. Okay, so if you're signed in, you need to sign into your church account. You can come down here and you'll see the digital records, and then a lot of them will have this request digital access. So you can't immediately access them, but you'll just click this button, enter a little bit of information, and then they'll respond back to you, usually within 24 to 48 hours, and the access then is typically granted within another day or so. So you'll get access. Sometimes it's for 30 days. It could be a bit longer, but worth definitely requesting the access and going through that. And when asked for the reason, just note that you're doing family history research on your family who may have belonged to the ward or branch in question. So that's how this will work. Now, one other thing that I tried searching for, which was interesting, I searched for Amsterdam, I searched for Siddeburen, the little village where a lot of my ancestors came from. It brought back some interesting records. But another thing I did is I just searched for Ogden. And then it will show you some interesting options here, because you wouldn't think, okay, I'm going to find a bunch of Dutch records in Ogden unless you know that there were a lot of Dutch people here. But as you look over on the left, there are opportunities here to filter the results. And so as you scroll down, you can look at content language, and there will be an option for Dutch, and you click on that, and then you hit apply filters, and now it's going to find anything with Ogden in the name that also has Dutch language records or records about the Netherlands. So you'll see the second result here is all written in Dutch. The first one is about a trip journal to Holland, so written in English, but about people who traveled over there. And again, some mission journals here. Cornelius Bell, if you're familiar with some of the early Dutch immigrant families, Cornelius Bell and his brother were two of the prominent members of the community. A lot of amazing information in here on this one. You can see it's a collection of his journals from 1909 to 1975, including journals during his mission from 1910 to 1912. A lot of great information in there, newspaper clippings, photographs, correspondence, event tickets. One thing that we have reviewed before in the class are the John W. Volker papers, and these are fantastic. Of course, President Volker was the president of the mission who translated the Book of Mormon into Dutch. He was a very prominent member of the Dutch community in Ogden and was instrumental in helping a lot of Dutch immigrants build homes. He owned a lumber company in Ogden. So anyway, as you go through these, Hendrik Bell, the brother of Cornelius Bell, also in here. A lot of really interesting information can be found. Okay, so the one I wanted to find isn't coming up with the filtering. I don't know what order I did that in live, but if you just type in Francis A. Brown, Francis A. Brown was a mission president in the Netherlands after President Volker, and if we hit search, you'll see it will come up here, the second result, Francis A. Brown Mission Journal. And this one doesn't require you to even request access, and it has fascinating information. So let's click on this, and you can click open in viewer. It will take just a minute to populate that. Okay, and after it loads, you're going to see a page that looks like this. This is the actual cover from, I guess, the journal that he wrote this in. And I just want to highlight a couple of things here. If you go on the very first few pages here, you can see he started writing this December of 1889. He provides information about the place, and then he talks about the people who were actually in the Netherlands at that time in leadership roles. It shows who the presidents of each of the branches were in the country, in Groningen, in Zwolle, in all these different places. He has the number of high priests listed, the number of 70s, and then he listed Elder Denkers, along with his age, his wife, and his children's family, and this is one, the family that's related to, I know, some of you. And so a lot of really good information. Then you get to this first page here, Wednesday, December 4th of 1889, and he writes about the weather, and then he talks about a call from Brother Pedersen, and how he had come and spent the evening with him and talked about experience, how he became acquainted with the gospel, and how he was baptized. Elder Nuteboom, who of course is a relative of also one of our regular attendees at the classes, talks about him and some of the things he was doing. So just fascinating information here. And this is just in the first few pages, and there are 484 pages here. As always, going through, I actually found information again about some of my ancestors in the very first few pages. There's a lot of information about the Caldewines in here, and again, like I said, I've only scratched the surface on this one, so I highly recommend you take a look at some of these old records. They're very detailed. There's a lot of information if you had early convert members in the Netherlands in the late 1800s.